See, suppose a kid, let's say, learning bicycle. Initially, as you are balancing, it's a natural thing that we fall. I mean, when we were kids, nobody's taught us the bike, the bicycling, and now we have the kids' bicycles. It was only the adult bicycle we have to learn, and we are smaller than the bicycle, so we cannot get onto the seat on the top. So we have to put our legs on the side and then ride the bicycle. Learn, and with one hand you hold the handle, with one hand you hold the seat, and you put the cross legs, and then you do it. I've not seen any kid doing in America, but we had to learn like that because we never had kids bikes. Himanshu can relate to that. So, initially the thing is, when you're learning the bike, you're definitely going to fall. So you're always getting prepared for the fall. How do you put your leg or hand first so that you don't get hurt when you fall? So the whole idea while learning bicycle is how not to fall. And it takes 1 week, 2 weeks, and the third week there is a mental shift. Then you decide in your mind, I don't care about the fall. I'm going to balance the bicycle. I'm going to balance it. So when that mental shift happens, which you could not do last 3 weeks, will happen within less than 5 minutes, and you start to balance your bicycle. And you might have experienced this yourself when you're learning bike, right? And when you know you're going to balance, it happens within 5 to 10 minutes, and then there you go. And rest is the history. So there is a lot of things to learn from a spiritual aspect in this example. One is, all the literature, any literature from any religion, regardless, it only spoke about how to prevent the fall. This whole instructions, all the instructions are about how to prevent the fall. But no literature has told you how to reach there. And that applies to even that applies to the heartfulness. There are no exceptions here. It's always how to prevent the fall. But no one tells you how to get there. And let me say this, no one can tell you how to get there. No one. That shift has to happen within. Hey, Jose. So just to give you a quick recap. So when we learn bicycle, right, we are always thinking about how to prevent the fall. But when the mental shift happens, how to balance, you suddenly, see that you have started balancing the bike. And the same thing in the spirituality. We know the goal. We have some esoteric goal, some idea, and we are practicing meditation. And while meditating, the whole focus is on how to meditate effectively, whatever you think that effectiveness is. But the real thing is, to get into that state, that shift has to happen. When that shift happens, then you don't bother about the effectiveness of the meditation. Then you bother about going into that state. And once we get into that state, what happens is, then it almost becomes a natural state. Just like once you start balancing the bicycle, you're not going to fall. You don't have to think about the fall. Then you're trying to, do all sorts of acrobats with it once you gain that balance. So then you don't have to think I'm balancing the bicycle when I get to ride. It almost becomes a natural state. So that's what is the freedom we have to experience in meditation. If I start that with that freedom itself in the beginning, then I don't have to think about how to meditate effectively, how not to think about certain things, or what to think about, or whether I am reaching goal or not, whether I am receiving transmission or not. We get freedom from all these things. And the meditation takes its own dimension. It happens so naturally. But that shift has to take place in our mind. And that only you can do it. So each individual has to experience that shift. That happens as you practice. Suppose if I have not even started riding the bicycle, whether I'm falling or not, whether I'm balancing or not becomes immaterial. But now that we started meditation, now that we are practicing it, just know that that shift has to happen. Mentally kind of allow it to happen. And slowly it happens naturally by itself. We don't have to force it. Just have this idea. And when the shift happens, it takes you into a different dimension. And that becomes a natural state. Then what happens? Then, you are again now thinking about the next state. It kind of appeals to you, appears to you. And then again you are looking for the next shift to get there. So it continuously goes on and on and on. And that's what spiritual practice is all about. And this cannot be told or said in any books. Or how to do that shift, no one can tell you. It just happens naturally as you do it. What all the books can tell you is what should not be or what is not, and what is afterwards. But no one can tell you how to make that shift happen. That's why Daji says knowledge is useless. In spirituality, at least. So how do I bring that shift in my life, in my practice? Just keep doing it, it happens. If I'm open to it. So that's why have that freedom. Whenever I want to suppress something, the effect is exactly the opposite. I have lots of stress in my life. I want to be stress free. And then you meditate. You can never be stress free. It's impossible. But if you let go that idea and just be there, get into meditation, then you become stress free. So if I'm doing meditation for anything, we are always thinking the exact opposite. If I want peace, I'm thinking about stress. If I want to be calm, then I'm thinking about all the rattling of the mind. So it creates an opposite effect. So the dictum of meditation is you become that which you meditate upon. So what are we meditating on? The name of becoming calm? I'm meditating on the stress. I become more stressful. So that's why when we get into meditation, we leave all these ideas aside. We don't have to leave anything. Just close your eyes and wait. Even if I say when I leave these ideas aside when you are meditating, that is a condition I am applying. So whatever the condition I apply before meditation, the meditation will not create that shift. So no other supposition. The only supposition as prescribed is that higher essence is within me and is being revealed, or it is drawing my mind and consciousness into it, and we wait. That's all the supposition is for meditation. And what is the goal? Whatever that inner essence, divine essence is, let it be revealed. Because I don't know what it is. I don't even know how to recognize it. I don't even know how to feel it or experience it. But slowly, as it repeats many times, it becomes vivid. Then, we can cognize it vividly. And once that cognition happens, that becomes a natural state. And that cognition is not complete. So there has to be another dimension to it. And then we have to wait for that another dimension to become, cognitive or experience. Then the next, then the next. So it's a vertical journey. Constantly we are moving up. So there is a little expansion horizontally, and then the next, and the next, and the next. So we are going higher and higher into higher dimensions. But once that dimension becomes natural, then only I start looking for higher, because any recognition, any cognition is only when there is contrast. When that becomes my natural state, then I don't know whether it's a higher state or a lower state. Unless some situation happens, it pulls me down, then I know, oh, yesterday I was in a much better mental state, not today. So any cognition is again through contrast only. So when the shift happens, we realize it. But once that shift becomes natural, that becomes our natural state. So here there is no, if you look at it in a sense, we are all enlightened beings to an extent. We have that awareness. To an extent, that awareness has permeated. So I was kind of discussing with one of the, practicants. He said, oh, there is so and so is a very enlightened being. I said, how do you know? Suppose if you compare the ant and yourself, you are the enlightened being compared to the ant. But are you enlightened from your perspective? So you're looking at somebody, oh, Daji is enlightened. But is Daji enlightened from Daji's perspective? He's looking at Babuji. He says Babuji is more enlightened than me, or something like that. So this enlightenment is a very comparative statement. From where we stand, because that's my natural state and because I have this awareness, somehow it creates that awareness of a better state from where I am standing. That's why I think, okay, there is more to go. So in a journey of infinity, we can never say I made it. Nobody can say I made it. We are constantly progressing. That's what the spiritual life is about. Then why should I do it? Because, there is a huge difference between the ant and a human being. But once we cross these dimensions, even from a human stand, a regular human stand, it's that vast difference, like ant and a human. Between a regular human and us, you will feel that vast difference. You can see it because you see that contrast within yourself. So spirituality is not about becoming calm. Spirituality is more than that, much more than that. And calmness doesn't appeals to spirituality. from Babaji's story, like, when they were constructing a building at his house, for the ashram building, and there is supposed to be some the trucks which are going to bring the sand were supposed to come, and Babaji was waiting for them. Every 5 minutes he would go out of his house and he'll stand on the road to see if the trucks were coming. And then Chariji, who was the previous teacher before Daji, he asked Babaji, why are you so worried? You're supposedly the most saintly spiritual person, and you're just worried about the sand trucks coming or being late. So Babaji says, if there is no worry in your life, you cease to work. You cannot work. So stress and worry is required in certain doses, but as we grow spiritually, we can handle much more stress than what we do today. Rather, we know how to handle it in a very, very skilled fashion. We can just push it away. If it is unwanted stress. If it is a wanted, really needed stress, we can take it and we can make that work happen somehow. But spirituality is not about how do I handle my life, but how do I handle this inner poise, that inner dimensions which I am going through. So there's more to it as we learn, as we do, as this shift happens. So I'll stop here. Any questions, observations?
I just think that it was so meaningful what you just has said about you can never say you made it.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the best things that spirituality can offer you. It's because us humans are very attuned to goals, objectives, capping.
Right.
And the reason why that resonated with me so much is because I've always said that the most dangerous feeling of all isn't depression, but it's boredom.
Yes.
Boredom, when you have a lack of something interesting, fun, or a growth experience, people try to self-medicate something interesting or fun with consuming. Most of us are conditioned to just consume, whether it's a flight to Japan or to wherever it is, right, to get away, and then we're mesmerized. And we even get a glimpse of being in the present moment because of the novelty.
Right.
But the novelty eventually wears off. So what I've always recommended to my clients, and I recommended to myself, is that the best way that's most sustainable is the growth experience. And even growth experiences are slower, but they also cap. So the one place that you can't really cap is spirituality.
Yes.
Because you can always pray more. You can always meditate more. You can always expand more on reaching a higher level, an inner level of more parasympathetic nervous system activation, more diaphragmatic breathing, better breathing. You can never stop evolving. So that resonated with me a lot, and it just reinforced the back of my mind that yeah, spirituality is the most closest to the biggest satiation that we can feel in life and existence. Really is in the dimension of spirituality.
Yes.
So thank you for that.
Thank you. That was good observation. Thank you.